Hi everyone, welcome to Trivia Night. My name is Trinity and I'm going to be your host for this evening, and my two contestants, Ashley and Jacinta. So our topic for the evening is going to be post-hoc testing, and round one is going to be getting started. So for question one, what does post-hoc mean? Does anybody know?
I think post-hoc means after this.
That is correct, Ashley. Post-hoc is Latin for after this. Essentially, you are analyzing the results of your experimental data. Moving on to question two, what is the purpose of post-hoc test?
To uncover specific differences.
That is also correct. Post-hoc tests are used to uncover specific differences between three or more groups, means when an analysis of ANOVA is significant. So we do not need to run a post-hoc test when the ANOVA is not significant. Moving on to round two, different test types. Question three, how many different post-hoc tests are there?
I think there's 7 different post-hoc tests.
Oh, unfortunately, that is incorrect. SPSS has 18 different post-hoc tests, and you can choose the best one for your data. Moving on to question four. What test do you use if all your assumptions are met and the sample sizes are the same?
I think it's called turkey.
So close, Jacinta. It's actually Tukey's test. So you had the right idea. Moving on to question five. What formula is involved in Tukey's post-hoc test? Anybody know?
I think that the formula has HSD in it, and I think there's a constant variable.
That's a good start. So this equation is a little bit complicated, but for Tukey's equation, it's HSD, which is the least amount that means must vary from each other to be significantly different, equals Q, which is the constant, and MS, which is the mean squared within, over N, which is the number in each category. Moving on to question six. What test do you use if your sample sizes are unequal?
I think it's Gabriel's and Hochberg's.
That is correct. So Gabriel's you would use if you have a small sample size, and Hochberg's you would use if you had a larger sample size. Question seven. What test do you use if you have unequal variances?
I think that one's called the Games-Howell test.
That is correct. Games-Howell test is the test you would use if you have unequal variances. Question eight. What is the simplest example of a post-hoc test?
The Bonferroni method.
That is correct. The Bonferroni method is the simplest example of a post-hoc test. Moving on to round three, calculate. Question 9. How do you use the Bonferroni method for 4 different tests in SPSS?
That one's kind of hard. Do you think we can try to explain that one?
Fortunately for you guys, I have a video explaining how to use the Bonferroni method in SPSS.
This is a set of data we have, and you can see that there are 4 different materials, A, B, C, and D, with differing strengths. So we're going to run the Bonferroni's method for this as a method of post-hoc testing. First, you're going to go analyze descriptive statistics, explore. Then you're going to move strength to the dependent list, and you're going to click on plots. Under plots, you're going to want to press factor levels together, histogram, and normality plots with tests. Then you're going to press continue and OK. So it's going to run the data, and you can see the descriptives, and under test and normality, you can see that there is significance right here. And if you go to the box plot, You can see that there are no outliers in this data set. So next, you're going to go to Analyze again. You're going to go to General Linear Model. You're going to go to Univariate. And in the dependent variable, you're going to put strength. For fixed factors, material. And under material, you're going to put it in the horizontal axis. Press add, which I did. Then go to continue. Go to post-HOC. You're going to put material to post-HOC test. So you're going to press the Von-Ferroni method, which is the one that we're going to be using. Then press continue. You can also go to EM means and put display means for material and then compare main effects. And then you're going to want to put this at Von-Ferroni. And then for options, you can press descriptive statistics, estimates of effect size, and homogeneity tests. And you can see that the significance level is 0.05. Next, you're going to press OK, and it'll run the data. So you can see the different materials and that they have the same number of test subjects, which is why we can do the Von-Ferroni test. They all have different means and different standard deviations. So you can look at the effects. So you're going to look at post-HOC test material for the multiple comparisons. And you can see that right here and right here, there are significant data as this is less than 0.05. And here is the profile plot of it.
Wow, that really cleared it up for me.
I'm so happy to hear that. Moving on to question 10. Why is the Von-Ferroni method not the best method?
I think it can increase the chance of errors.
That is correct. So the Von-Ferroni method can increase the chance for type 2 errors where an effect or a difference that is present is missed. Moving on to question 11. In what test do you use the following information? I'll let you guys read it out. Any ideas?
Pretty long formula. I'm not sure which one I'm supposed to use for that.
I'll help you guys out. So the answer to question 11 is a Games-Howell post-HOC test. And this is the post-HOC test that we use because it provides the confidence intervals for the difference between group means and shows whether the differences are statistically significant. Moving on to question 12. What test would you run with the following data? I'll give you guys a hint. The variables consist of something that can be numerically measured according to a scale, such as depression, and groups with multiple levels, such as treatment, CBT, existential, and waiting lists.
I think this one is the Games-Howell.
That is correct. It's a Games-Howell post-HOC test because the formula must have a group where X is a numeric variable and group is a factor with one or multiple levels, giving the corresponding groups. Question 13. What is the independent variable and dependent variable of this data set?
Well, from the data set, I can see that the independent variable would be the treatment type. So that would be existential and CBT, and then the waiting list that were mentioned. And then the dependent variable would be the depression scale, like the number.
That is correct, Ashley. So the independent variable is treatment with the 3 levels, like she mentioned, existential, CBT, and waiting list. And then the dependent variable is depression. Good job. Question 14. What test would you run with the following data? So for this one, a Hockenberg's test because there are unequal sample sizes. In this data set, there are different numbers of responses per treatment type, which is seen under the N. Do you guys see that one on the far right? For example, or for the sample size to be equal, N would have to have the same number. So that's why you use the Hockenberg's test. Question 15. How do I run a Tukey's test in SPSS? So for this one, it's kind of like the similar steps that we saw with the Bonferroni method. But so step 1, you go to analyze and then compare means, and then you click on the one-way ANOVA. Next, you choose your post-HOC test. So for this one, we're doing Tukey's. So you just click the Tukey's box, but you could use any of these tests and it would come out the same. Then you do continue and you put corrected variables in the dependent list. So as you can see for this one, we put the satisfaction for the dependent variable, and then you do the factor. And then for step 4, you click OK and analyze the data as you see fit. Congratulations, you have reached the end of this trivia.